Well, tubers, tubets, and of course, crazy people. Usually when I discuss financial matters or money matters, I'm talking about the Philippines. However, my friend Ali recently just returned to America for 30 days, and he has come back with some very, very interesting numbers and statistics about the cost of living today in October of 2024 in America. And this is not some highfalutin lifestyle. This is just the average Joe living the average life. Without further ado, here comes my friend Ali. Alrighty, kids, as I said in the introduction, I am here with my buddy Ali. Ali, do me a solid and just take it away.
All right, thank you, Paul. Hi, my name is Ali. I have known Paul for over 3 years now. Due to medical reason, I was forced to retire at the age of 61, almost 3 years ago. In the year of 2022, right after the lockdown was removed in Philippines, I moved to Dumaguete, Valencia in Philippines. In the past 31 months, I have gone back 4 times to America. Recently, 1 week ago, I came back from California after spending almost 1 month there. The numbers which I am about to share with Paul's subscribers and viewers are based on 3 cities in California: Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Diego. For 45 years, I did live in these 3 cities. And currently, I have relatives and friends who live there. And last month, I visited all these cities and talked to my relatives and friends about cost of living in 2024 in California. I have a close friend who is married with 1 child. His child is 2 years old. These are his numbers, not mine. He's renting an average 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for $3,100 per month. All utilities, including internet and cable, is about $800. He has 2 car payments. They are both used cars, nothing fancy. $950 for the 2 car payments. Car insurance is very expensive in California now. For the 2 car insurance and gas and maintenance for the 2 cars are about $700 a month. This is the kicker. For health insurance for 3 of them, him, his wife, and his child, $2,200 per month. Let me repeat that. $2,200 per month for health insurance.
Is that through his employer? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's a mechanic, actually.
Okay.
He's a mechanic for a Ford dealership.
Okay.
And this health insurance doesn't cover eye or dental, only for health. And it has a 20% deductible. I mean, that's kind of crazy. So 2 years ago when his child was born, his wife had to go through a C-section at the Kaiser Hospital. She had to stay in the hospital for 3 days. With all the operation and the time in hospital, their bill was $88,000. They were responsible for 20% of that. So he had to pay $18,000 out of his own pocket.
To have a baby.
To have a baby. They have their 2-year-old in daycare right now because both of them are working full time. They're paying $1,600 per month for 5 days of daycare.
For 1 child?
1 child. They drop her off 7 a.m. They pick her up 6 p.m. So she's in daycare for 11 hours a day, 5 days a week, $1,600 per month. So far, if you do the math, $9,350 per month before food, before clothing, before entertainment, if there is any entertainment. Basically, roughly $12,000 to live on per month. Cost of living for my friend, this is outrageous. Cost of living in California in 2024, it's crazy. Nowadays, your health insurance for your family is almost as much as your rent. Personally, I had an open heart surgery 5 years ago, triple bypass, which I stayed in the hospitals for 9 days. After my 8-hour surgery and spending 9 days in the hospital, the total cost was $225,000. And my health insurance covered 80%. So I had to pay $45,000 out of my own pocket. This is crazy. In today's America, 80% of all the bankruptcies are due to medical bills. Unfortunately, majority of people are struggling to make the ends meet. While I was there, a 3-star hotel, $150 per night. One cheeseburger with fries and soda in an average restaurant, nothing fancy, $25, plus $9 tax, $28, plus 10% tip, not 15%, $31.
Was that built in?
No, but I mean,
okay.
when you pay, on the computer shows 15%, 20% tip, so you can put 10%, so I put 10%. After paying $30, I didn't want to pay another $5. I was done. And I bite that cheeseburger very slowly to get my money's worth. Nowadays, only rich people can go to a nice restaurant. $65, $75 for an 8-ounce ribeye. $18 for a glass of red wine. If you have a date night in a nice restaurant for 2 people, easily $200 if not more. Gasoline, $5.25 per gallon. Disneyland, 2 days pass, $280
Per person?
per person. Disneyland Hotel, $350 per night. A family of 4. If they want to go to Disneyland for 2 nights, you're talking about $2,500.
Jeez,
just for
Louise.
a family of 4.
I was thinking about taking my wife there one day. I just decided against it.
About 40 years ago, 37 years ago, I used to live in West Covina, which was 20 minutes from Disneyland. So we used to go to Disneyland a lot.
Right.
And back then, I remember the entrance for like $30, $32.
Yeah.
And right now it's like $130, $140.
gosh.
Yeah. And it's crazy because last time I went, I didn't go to Disneyland, but I went to Universal Studio. Now there is a fast lane that if you pay triple, so like to go in is like $125, but if you pay $375, you don't have to wait in any lines.
And I don't want to interrupt your flow, but from what I understand, I didn't know about this fast lane thing, is if you do go to any of these places, the lines are outrageous.
Oh yeah,
3 hours to go on.
Hour 15, hour half on each ride. So
ride.
sometimes it's worth it to get the fast lane, but to pay that kind of money, that's crazy.
Anyway, okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No problem. Middle class in America are struggling. Only rich people can afford nice restaurants and hotels and travelings. The days that middle class could go to a nice restaurants are over. I love America. I miss America. But personally, I cannot afford to live there anymore. It was so hard for me to get together with my friends, relatives, because everyone was working 50 to 60 hours per week, and everyone was extremely stressed and busy. I really miss 1960s and 1970s in America.
You mean both.
But I don't mean to be pessimistic, but American dream is only for rich, privileged people now.
The elite.
It does not exist for average Americans anymore. Recently, one of my cousins and his wife were able to purchase a house in San Diego after saving for 10 years. This is an average 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, which is 45 years old in an average neighborhood. Nothing fancy. Purchase price, $1.1 million. They had to put down 20% down, $220,000 down payment, plus $20,000 closing costs. They had to put down $240,000 down, which it took them 10 years to save.
What year was that, Ali?
This was 6 months ago.
Okay.
They bought it in March.
Okay.
Bought it in March, yeah. The house is 45 years old. It's
Good
a
Lord.
2,000 square feet house.
Okay.
Nothing fancy.
Gotcha.
Their payment is $6,500 per month. Property tax, $1,200 per month. The insurance on the house, because there is a lot of fire goes on in San Diego, $400 per month. Total, $8,100 per month before utilities. So with utilities, pretty much $9,000
Just to put the key in the door.
to put the key in the door with almost $250,000 down payment. And they're excited that said, I'm a homeowner. I told them, no, the bank owns your home. You're not a homeowner.
Truer words never spoken, my friend.
So I told them that when I come back to Philippines, I'm going to build my house because I bought the land 8 months ago. And it's going to cost me 10% of his house, and it's going to be double the size of his house. He almost blew a gasket. Anyway. Uber. I use Uber a couple of times. Uber minimum is $20. Even if you're going to go 1 mile, it's $20.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a minimum Uber now. Even you go from here across the street, because you're afraid to go across the street, they charge you $20. And then it's funny because when you hit Uber, they go, do you want right now or do you want later? I'm like, why would I text right now if I want it later? I want it now. Okay, it's 20% more right now. Oh my God, I should have said later, But then you don't know how long later it's going to be. It's going to be like an hour, 2 hours. It's like...
I guess there's prime times or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
I've never used Uber, so I don't know.
I texted Uber when I got to San Francisco airport. I already had somebody picking me up just to see how much they tell me. $250 to bring me to Sacramento.
How long of a ride is that?
It's 90 miles.
90 miles. Okay.
Yeah, 90. It's about an hour and a half because I got here around 10 p.m. so there was no traffic. $250. I paid $1,060 for my airline ticket because I booked it 7 months in advance. Just the 2 Uber rides would be half of that.
Good
$500.
Isn't that something? When you put it that way, it really hits home.
Yeah.
It really hits
And then when I
home.
was there, I flew from Sacramento to San Diego, which was $250 for the airfare. Again, I got it 6 months in advance. If you get it like 2 days in advance, it's like $500-600.
Yeah.
And then again, Uber just to take me to Sacramento airport was $75.
Wow.
So like $150 just go to the airport plus $250, so it's like $400 for the plane to go to San Diego.
God.
So it's crazy. I think, this is after this one. Okay, let me see. On the bottom, I just want to say at the end that the stage of the country in 2024 is not good. This time, this was my 4th trip in the last 31 months. Every time I go back, I feel different. And for the first time, this time, I felt like Philippines is my home and America is a foreign country.
Interesting.
I mean, I was there for 3.5 weeks, and the last few days, I was counting the days to come back.
Yeah.
Nothing against America. Like I said, I love America.
No.
But what I saw with my own eyes, it was depressing. I only saw 10% of my relatives. And for different reasons, because everybody's working so hard. Everybody's struggling. Nobody invites anybody to their houses anymore. I remember 6-7 years ago, I have a big family. We would have big parties, like invite 20-25 people for dinner, 2-3 entrees, salads, desserts. those days are gone because everybody's just barely making the ends meet, so nobody can afford to throw a party and invite other peoples. And then the country is extremely divided. Extremely. I've never seen America this divided before. People are tense. People are worried. And people are not happy. I hate to be pessimistic, but this is the reality of today's America.
I have a final question for you, but I'm going to stall it. Okay, I have some other questions that I want to get in. What is it that you see that has created this crazy rate of inflation and unaffordability for people?
If you guys all remember, during the pandemic, everything was shut down for a long period of time.
Sure was.
So the government decided to do bunch of
Printing money,
bunch of what do you call it, stimulus packages. I don't know if you guys remember, there were 3 major stimulus packages. One was for 4 trillion, one was for 3 trillion, and one was for 2 trillion. So combined, almost $10 trillion in 1 year. They poured it into the society. At that time, everybody was happy. Everybody was getting checks. Everybody was getting the stimulus checks. A lot of businesses, some of my relatives, they got over $100,000 in stimulus check because they owned a business and the business had to be shut down because of the COVID. So everybody was just happy. But I kept telling everybody, wait, we all gonna pay this back and we're gonna pay it 4 times or 5 times more, and that happened. When you pour so much money into the economy, the value of the dollar comes lower. Money becomes priceless. So you have to take a whole bag of money to buy something because there is so much money. And that's what happened. It's going to take a good 10 years. It's kind of like you got a glass of water and you pour a bunch of sugar in it. It takes a long time for that sugar to dissolve. Same thing in economy. When you pour that much money at one time, in short period of time, it takes so long for that money to dissolve. So unfortunately, I don't think the inflation is going to go away. And another thing, I think, when the prices went up because of the COVID, I remember like you had to wait 2 hours to get a toilet.
The supply demand or the supply chain got interrupted and all that.
And
everybody was stocking up on toilet paper and baby formula.
And then what happened, like the supply chains, they start tripling the price of things like toilet paper. So after the pandemic, there was no shortage of supply, but the big corporations, they kind of like that kind of money. They go, hey, instead of bringing it down to 80% lower than what it used to be, we're going to bring it down 10% and still have 70% extra profit. And that's another reason that price gouging is correct. It happens. It's real. I don't know if you guys do follow the stock market. Stock market is the highest in the history of the United States. Corporations are making money, a lot of money right now.
Big money.
And one of the main reasons is that the prices after the pandemic did not come down. Even when the supply chain changed and there was no shortage, they kept those prices high because now the toilet paper that they bought for $10, they sold it for $30. Now they buy it for $10, they sell it for $28. So they brought it down like a little bit just to make the consumer say, hey, yeah, toilet paper prices came down. But it only came down like 2-3% when they had jumped like 100%.
Did you see a lot of, obviously people are struggling over there, and I don't see a quick fix in the near future. I'm an economist, but, and I'm over here. I'm not over there. I'm not seeing it firsthand. I don't necessarily believe everything I hear on the news. I know that gets spun quite a bit, but I'm trying to grasp in my head how a guy that pre-pandemic was making 60, 70, 80,000 a year doing the normal thing, and now it's something like you got to make 200,000 just to get by. How have people adjusted? Have they taken on extra jobs?
Yes.
Did the wife go back to work before she was a housewife? I don't know.
I think it's a combination of all of those.
Okay.
Plus, like I said earlier, they had to cut down a lot of things. 10 years ago, I used to go out and eat 4 nights a week.
Okay.
4 years ago, it got cut down to 2 nights a week.
Right.
And right now it's 0 if I stay in America.
Right.
So average Joe,
Yeah, how much is that cheeseburger? $32 or something like that?
$33. Yeah. And that's just a cheeseburger. If you want to go have a nice ribeye steak, a 16-ounce ribeye, which is 1 pound, is like $100 in a restaurant.
You know, I have memories. This is ridiculous. But when I moved over here, prior to me moving over here, I remember rolling into Del Taco and getting tacos for 39 cents a piece.
Yes.
I mean, that's my old school thinking. You know, you could get a burrito for $1, and they had the dollar menu at
99-cent burgers.
Yeah,
at
all
McDonald's.
that kind of stuff. That's history. That's over. And that was doable. Not that it was so healthy for you.
I don't know.
Unbelievable.
I went to McDonald's just to check things out. Big Mac with fries and soda, $18.
And how much is it here? Do you know?
It's about $3.
Yes. Yeah.
It's about $3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about $3 to $4 for that same meal here in the Philippines. Now,
basically, I would say an average person in California. I don't know about other states.
I know that other states, let's qualify that.
Yes.
This is one of the high-cost states.
Yes,
in
California
America.
is one of the
That
highest.
and New York, okay?
And Hawaii.
So, okay.
Those three are the
highest. You might
highest.
be in the Midwest,
Yes.
and these numbers are not going to be
Because
the same.
I know we're going to get a lot
They're
of
gonna be lower.
comments. I
That's
pay
fine.
this much rent. I pay this much. Yeah, I mean,
And
other
that's
states
true.
is different.
We welcome
Yes.
that. We understand. We want to clarify, because we talked about this before we did the video. It's going to be cheaper to live in Tennessee or Arkansas than California or San Diego or San Francisco. But still, it's across the boards. So people, if I'm reading you right, people are more stressed out. They're more divided. They're having economic issues. I don't see any clearing in the future. I keep hearing these reports that inflation's coming down, the workforce is going up. I think the workforce is going up because people are taking on extra work.
Correct.
And then it breaks my heart to hear the word daycare. I think
$1,600 a month.
Well, $1,600 a month is obscene, but I think what's more obscene is that the baby is being raised in an institution or a school and should be home with the mother or the mother and the father. I can see taking a break 2 days a week where maybe mom goes out and works at the drugstore to bring in a few extra bucks. I get it. But it just seems to me like people are, you used to say some people work to live, other people live to work.
Yep.
Now it's gone to
Live to
people
work.
live to survive.
Yep.
They're not living to work. They're living just to eat every month.
I feel another reason the country is divided, this is my personal idea, because people are working so much and they cannot afford to go out to eat. Pretty much they work 12, 13 hours. They come home. They eat something at home. They're not going out. They turn the TV on.
Yes.
You got Fox, you got CNN, you got MSNBC.
Right.
I usually like to watch all of them, not more than 10 minutes. Because if you watch any of them more than 10 minutes, you go one direction.
Like, it's not news anymore. It's an opinion.
I remember in late 70s, early 80s, Ted Koppel.
Yeah.
I mean, Nightline.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just telling the news.
Right.
But,
Walter Cronkite from my era.
But these days, everybody takes one side. And I think because people work so much, they go home, they watch the TV, they get aggravated.
And they're looking for someone to blame for their condition.
Exactly.
And
So
it's either this one or that one.
So when you
and
have
it doesn't matter
people-
which one you pick.
people
but
stir
they're
the
going to
pot.
pick that one to blame because of their condition. Do you see this easing up in the future, or do you see it? And what about the kids? The kids are going to be paying for all this for years. The younger generation. I mean, we're boomers, all right? So I got another question for you before we get to the final one. Is you and I are on our Social Security, and that's about it. Well, a lot of guys are, and we exist over here just fine. Could a single man, for example, forget having a wife and a kid and all that, could a single guy, you or me, could I move back to America tomorrow and live any kind of a lifestyle on my Social Security? Even if I was getting the max benefit?
The simple answer is no.
Okay.
Unless you get 4 roommates, you get a 2-bedroom apartment, and you share a room with 3 other guys. All 4 people buy foods together, they cook together, they eat together, they share 1 car, then maybe.
Because I understand that there is, even if they're canceling like property, you can buy a house, but then the property taxes have quadrupled. Car insurance is something like tripled.
Yep.
If you buy a car, you got a $600 car payment, and then instead of $100 a month, you're paying $300 or $400 a month just to insure the stupid thing.
Yep.
I mean, it just becomes,
and
the average car life, I think out now, I think the average car is like 10 years old.
Yep.
People have been holding back on buying anything new.
But the problem is when you keep an old car, the maintenance costs. You know, it's kind of like, either way, you're going to have a car payment.
Yeah.
Another thing that...
No wonder Rubens cars charging $25.
You know, another thing I was going to mention, like states like California or Florida, if you're a homeowner, your property insurance is so high. Like I have a cousin that lives in Florida.
Yeah.
Because Florida pretty much every year they get tornadoes and flooding. It's happening as we're speaking right now. It's
brutal.
coming. Another one coming.
North Carolina is practically the whole state's under water.
Most insurance companies, they don't touch you anymore. They don't want to insure you.
It breaks my heart.
They're just tired of rebuilding. So my cousin that lives in Florida, he pays $1,200 per month for the insurance on his house. And he's so happy that he finally found the insurance company that said yes to him.
Right. What breaks my heart, and just to bring it up to current speed and talking about watching the news, what broke my heart was I was watching all these people underwater, North Carolina and Florida, and they don't have any insurance. Either they couldn't afford it or they wouldn't sell it to them.
Yep.
And they're at the point where they're saying, well, you know what? I can't do this again. I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to get out of here. I'm going to have to go somewhere else. And what a horrifying thought that, you know, you work all your life for the American dream, which is your own home and your community and your kids in school, and now everything is just swept away, literally, with water, a wave of water.
Yeah, bottom line, I feel like majority of the people are not happy. You know, I think happiness leads to comfort and leads to being calm, stress-free. When you're not happy, you're more stressed, you don't sleep good, your digestion system doesn't work, you get sick more often, and everything just rolls down the hill after that. So I think the most important thing in life is first is happiness. Because if you're struggling and you're not happy with the stage of your life, regardless any age you have. Before we say it, my son goes to UC Davis. He's 22 years old. Parking, student parking, $27 per day.
How does a 22-year-old do that?
$27 per day to park in a university is $5 per hour.
Good Lord.
I mean, my son says, Dad, can you help me with the parking? I go, yeah, sure. How much do you need? $500? What? $500? You know, that's for a month. I go, wow, a month, $500 just for parking?
Yeah.
I go, don't park, walk.
Yeah, get a bike.
But it's crazy. I mean, I was shocked when I heard $27 per day to park in a university parking lot.
I'm seeing skateboards making a comeback. All right, my final question.
Sure.
You've been back to America how many times?
4 times.
And how many times?
In 31 months.
Okay, and why do you go back there so often?
Well, there's 5 reasons. You know, I think moving to another country is like 5 stages. The first stage is that you watch YouTube channels, like Paul's.
You're going to blame me.
Yeah. I mean, before I came, I decided to come to Philippines for a whole year because I was on disability, so I had nothing else to do. I watched his channels. And what I liked about his channels, sometimes he would ride his motorbike, go down the hill from Valencia to Dumaguete, go to different stores, have a coffee here, this is the bank, this is this. So pretty much before I came here, I knew my ways around because I watched your videos so many times.
Yeah, I'm due for a driving tour.
Yeah. So the first stage is watching videos. So when finally the pandemic was removed and I was able to come here, I came here for 2 weeks because at that time I was working and I couldn't take more than 2 weeks off. So I come here for 2 weeks. I liked it, but there is so much you can do in 2 weeks.
Right.
So I told myself, okay, I went back to work again. I worked for 2 more months, and then I retired. And then I said, okay, I'm going to move to Philippines for 6 months. I'm going to give it 6 months to see if I can live there or not, because you cannot just pull the plug like that to say, okay, I'm going to go live in Philippines, because you don't know if you can do it or not. So what I did, I put all my belongings in a storage. I put my car in my parents' house. So pretty much I didn't get rid of anything because it was a 6 months test. So I came back to Philippines for 6 months again. And then after 6 months, I said, okay, I think I can do this.
Okay.
So I went back to America for the second time.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, second time. So when third time. Yeah, I went back to America for third time. I sold my car. I got rid of all my furniture. This is funny, in America, it takes you years and years of buying furniture. So you end up having like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of furniture, and you think you're kind of like semi-rich because you have a $3,000 couch and this and that. When you want to sell it, nobody wants to buy it.
No.
So you have to give it away.
Right.
So I called 2 of my cousins that were single. I said, hey, that couch that usually when you used to come to my house, you would crash on it. Oh yeah, I love that couch, uncle. I give it to you free. Really? I appreciate it. I go, when are you going to come pick it up? Uncle, to be sorry, I'm sorry, but can you deliver it for me? I don't have any money for delivery. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm giving you a $3,000 free couch, and you want me to pay $200 to deliver? Okay, I pay $200 to deliver. I got to get rid of it. So I ended up paying like $1,400.
Good Lord.
Just to give away my furniture.
I threw away my couch.
Yeah.
Nobody would take it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the third time. And then I had
donate
to
my couch.
Yeah, I had to file for my Social Security because when I retired, I was 61. I wasn't 62 yet. I had to renew my driver license, sell my car, get rid of all my stuff, and then I came back. I stayed here for a year, and then I went to visit my parents.
Okay.
My
that
dad,
was the last trip.
Yeah, my
that
dad
was the
is
one we just did.
Yes.
Okay.
My dad is 94. My mom is 83.
God bless her.
And unfortunately, she's stage 4 of Alzheimer's.
Right.
So I thought this has to be the closure with her because she still remembers me, but she doesn't know how old I am, and she doesn't remember how many kids I have.
Right.
She doesn't remember how many children she has.
Right.
So I had to do it one more time to just do the closure.
Okay. And when will you return?
I don't know, because next year we're planning to build a house, and you know the process takes at least a year.
Sure.
And in here, when you build a house, you cannot just leave it alone. You don't have to go there every day, but you have to go there at least 2-3 times a week, make sure things are moving along. And it's kind of exciting too, because you know, you go to the land, you see progress, so you get excited. Then you have to start thinking about in the future what you need for the house. So next year I'm going to be busy. Mm-hmm. So most likely a year and a half from now. So not this April, coming April, the following April, like 19 months from now.
Okay. So I guess the bottom line is you found your bliss here in the Philippines.
Yes, I'm happily married, third time and the last time, because I was divorced twice in America.
I love his line. He goes, I don't trust any man that hasn't been divorced twice.
Yeah. It's funny because I have a young wife, and she always asks me, honey, am I going to be your last wife? I go, 100%, but I'm not going to be your last husband. But that's life, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm glad that I got married again because I was single for 12 years, you know.
Let me hit on that. While you were back on this last trip, I know this wasn't your main thing, but did you notice anything about the male-female dynamic over there, especially for an older guy? Did you notice anything, or were you just not focused on that? I mean,
I feel like
here, so what would you care? But
you know, I've been living here for almost 3 years. It's like you can't say anything to women in here without offending them. In here, you see an attractive person. Before I got married, I mean, you can easily ask them, "Hey, what's your name? How old are you? Are you single?" And happily they say, "Hey, my name is so and so. I'm 28 years old and I'm single." Mm-hmm. Can you do that in America?
No.
If you see someone in the mall and say, "Hey, excuse me, I think I I like what I see right now. What is your name? How old are
They
you?
call the police.
Or they slap you.
Yeah.
It's like,
You have a
get
knee
away
in your
from
back. You know, they'd be putting the cuffs on.
So why, to answer your question, I think what's happening nowadays in America, especially for people above 55 and 60.
Yeah.
So a lot of women are out there that pretend they want to become a couple.
Right.
So what happens, you find them on these dating sites, or you get, preferred, but you get, your friends kind of like introduce them to you. You go out on a date. You try to impress them. You buy some flowers before you pick them up. You go to a nice restaurant. You spend like $300, and then you come home, and they won't even kiss you on the cheek. They go, okay, goodbye. A couple of days later, you call them and go, hey, I had a great time. And they go, I had a great time too. And then, go, you want to go out again? Sure, let's go out again. You go out the second time, third time, nothing changes. So after the third time, you go, she's just doing this for a free meal.
I've heard that.
It's kind of like, and next thing you know, I say, well, I kind of like you and I want to go to the next stage. Well, I'm not ready for any commitment, but we've gone out 3 times. I spent $1,000 on you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, that was your choice.
Right.
So I feel like, I'm not saying everybody's like that,
No.
but like in Philippines, if a girl agrees to go out with you, that means she already likes you. And if you go out 2 days, she wants to move in with you. And if you go out 3 days, she wants to marry you. Mm-hmm. So, but it's nothing like that in America. Okay. In America, it's like you go out with someone for 6 months and you still don't know if you're comparable and, you can get along. It's just it's a hard place to be for a lot of single guys. My second divorce took 11 and a half years. And during that 11 and a half years, I only went on 3 dates. 3 different women. And the first date was the last date because I could smell it. Yeah. I could smell that it was just for a free meal. Mm-hmm. And one of them, in the middle of the night, in the middle of dinner, she almost walked out on me because when she found out my situation from my previous and I was getting alimony from my ex, she got so mad at me that, you getting alimony from your wife? I go, yeah, my ex-wife made 3 times money I made. And you're a man? I go, I know, I'm a man. Are you a woman? It's like, she was getting mad at me because I get alimony, and she's like, and I was saying, wait a minute. If you had a husband that made 3 times than you want to get alimony, yes? Yes. So what's the difference?
What is the difference?
But you're a man, I'm a woman.
Right.
Oh, so you want to be a man and a woman. Sometimes women want to be woman, sometimes they want to be man, so they choose which one. But that's a different story.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up with this. Again, Ali, I always love having you on the channel. You always come prepared. You always come with good information. You're always entertaining and funny. And I don't want to end it on a sour note, but I'm going to ask the question. Do you think the middle class is dead in America? Or will it bounce back? Because we are very resilient people.
Yeah. I hate to say this. I feel like we need a war to change things. I'm not talking about a civil war or talking about, because, if you study the war history, when things were going really bad, something really catastrophic happened. Mm-hmm. And look at the Great Depression of 1930s. Yeah. From 1929 to 1937, the whole world was on depression.
Yeah.
Stock market fell 75, 80%.
Right.
What fixed it? Second World War.
True.
So I'm
that
not
was
saying
the rebuilding program after
yes.
that, when everybody else was decimated.
Yes.
Europe.
I'm not saying we're
Japan,
there. Yeah.
We had more manufacturing.
Yep.
We were shipping out. We were and I don't think that's going to happen again.
Yeah, I hope not. But right now, the way things are going on in Middle East and Ukraine, look at Ukraine and Russia. They've been fighting for almost 3 years now. There is no solution. None of them want to give up. They're kind of like both stubborn. Look at Middle East. They've been fighting for 100 years.
2,000 years.
2,000 years. They don't want to give up. I feel like people are becoming more stubborn. You feel like with the technology moving on so fast and advanced that humans are going to become smarter, I think they're going to become dumber. Mm-hmm. It's like people are becoming more aggressive and more defiant, and kind of hot-headed.
Final question. If I was to go to America tomorrow and didn't have a place to crash, and I wanted to rent a car, and I needed to get a 3-star hotel, as you put it, and I wanted to eat twice a day, call it, how much would it cost me?
$500 a day.
$500 a day. I heard that from another friend of mine
Yep.
that went to go visit his kids.
Yeah, $500 a
And
day.
that's not with airfare,
No.
but that's transportation.
Because right now, you remember Motel 6?
Yeah.
It's $125.
Good Lord.
Motel 6 is $125.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And to rent a car is $500 a week.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's like,
And you got to put the gas in.
and then you have to get insurance
And the gas.
and the gas. And then people like us that have been living out of the country and we haven't had car insurance, you have to pay double on the car insurance.
Got it. All right. Well, that's enough numbers, stats, and statistics, I suppose, for this one. Ali, always a pleasure to have
Thank
you
you.
on, brother.
Thank you.
And
Always. Pleasure's mine.
we're waiting for your comments. See what you guys think about all this.
All right.
See you in the next video. Bye.